You know, being in the One Piece community is like trying to trespass a field of landmines. You can make it across safely as long as you go on the right path. But ever so often you step on a landmine and explode in anger with some of the takes that the One Piece community I somehow wind up creating. And one of the biggest takes that I've seen that just makes me want to just scratch my hair and just go insane is the idea that Nami is deadweight. That's right. There are people in this community who believe that Nami is useless, that she has no qualities that really brings anything to not only the crew but to the story of One Piece. In fact, a lot of them believe that she is easily replaceable by any other navigator, in the story. Because apparently Nami's, role in the series about pirates and sailing is deadweight. Useless. Absolutely just unbelievably pathetic. Right? And every single day, I wonder about the health of this community, just how much Agenda Piece has ruined this community. Because, frankly, the only reason anyone will ever have this take is because they have this great disdain for Nami. Literally, that is the only way a take like this could ever exist. And a lot of this comes from those who are either really, really have a hatred for Nami, or are envious of Nami's actual role and try to put another character higher in the pedestal of usefulness or importance in a certain aspect of the story. For example, a lot of people believe that in a show about pirates and sailing from island to island, a cook is needed way more than a navigator. Now, sure, in certain aspects that can be true because after all, people need to eat. Crew need to eat, right? But what's the point of feeding your crew if you get either lost at sea or, I don't know, get destroyed by a random cyclone that you are not prepared for? Like, what is a cook going to do when a random cyclone appears and destroys the ship? Because you sail right into it and you have no navigator that can either, escape or, prevent from sailing right into the cyclone, or lead them away if they get too caught up in a cyclone. Or, going from island to island, or just getting completely lost and winding up with no food anyway, so a cook can't even, cook anything. And don't go, well, there's a lot of fish in the sea, just fish them from the water and then, you have food, yay. You're still going to be trapped. There's going to come to a point where, fish aren't biting. So where are you going to get the food? You need to restock on certain supplies on every island. And who helps? A navigator. Right? This idea that we have to do this type of comparison about each crew's role and its importance is insane. Loony even. And frankly, I'm always tired of seeing these type of takes because it comes from a form of hatred or illiteracy. Now, I'm not going to delve into who I think is actually spreading a lot of this BS. What I'm going to explain to you is that Nami's role as a navigator is a lot more important. And no, she cannot be replaced by any navigator, and there are certain points in the story that dictate why that is not the case. Here's a perfect example of what I mean. As the crew is journeying to Alabasta, there is a moment where Nami gets sick. She gets bitten by the Kestia bug, and they have to find a doctor, right? As they are making their way, she suddenly feels some strange wind happen, meaning that there's something coming, something big, aka a cyclone. And despite being sick, she still recognizes that there is a cyclone coming. So what does she do? She helps the crew navigate out of the path of the cyclone to safety. It was an unbelievable feat to the point that even Vivi was impressed, stating that cyclones on the Grand Line are incredibly unpredictable. So for her to not only be sick at the time, to notice and recognize that there's a cyclone coming is an unbelievable feat, incredible feat. Here is another example. Without Nami, essentially the crew would not have even be able to get to the Grand Line. Because if you remember, after they leave Logtown, they have to go up Reverse Mountain. However, none of the other members of the crew even understood how to get on top, how to get to Reverse Mountain without following the current. And it's without her help, without her knowledge of the currents, of the waves, and just, her ability to understand navigation and how to sail on seas, none of them would even be able to get to Reverse Mountain and get to the Grand Line. It's these smaller moments that people seem to forget, that they think anyone else can do. And yes, other people, other members, of many different crews were able to get to Reverse Mountain. Yes, that is all true. But to say that Nami is deadweight anyway because anyone else can do it is an insane thought. In fact, one of the members that Luffy really wanted to be part of his crew was Nami. That he literally stated that he wants no one else but her. Here's another piece of evidence to prove to you that Nami's navigational skill is something that most navigators will probably never be able to accomplish. Skypiea. Now, what do I mean by Skypiea? The knock-up stream. She is able to navigate the knock-up stream. And it wasn't a simple, just landing the ship and waiting for the knock-up stream to just launch the ship up. No. Remember, when the knock-up stream, shot them up into the air, they were going to fall off. However, they reconfigured themselves to create a very special type of mechanic like wings on the ship to help float, parallel to the knock-up stream and allow themselves to fly up. This doesn't happen without Nami's knowledge of currents. Like she says, the knock-up stream is simply just a current that they just have to sail. Without Nami, they would not be able to get to Skypiea. I understand you wanting to try to not view your favorite character as something lesser than another character. But all you're doing is just disrespecting another character just to prove some point. To prove to get some internet points because you have some reason to want that. Because you want to seek attention. I don't know why. But each and every single member of the crew is important in their own way. And this idea that Nami can be replaceable is insane. There are many members of the crew that can be replaced, but none of them should and at all be replaced. Why? Because Luffy handpicked them himself. It doesn't matter what kind of insane idea you have in your head. Luffy picked them himself. And that's who he is going to be with when he becomes the Pirate King. So this whole idea that Nami is just deadweight, that she provides nothing to the plot, nothing to the story, not even anything in terms of moving the plot along, is an insane take. A really bad take. Because she does. You have to sail from island to island. You need a good navigator. And Nami has shown to be a navigator that is not just above average, but exceptional. So many people have praised her navigation. I don't know how you must have missed that unless you don't read the story and you only view certain parts of the story that fit your agenda. That's really the only way you could say that about Nami and disrespecting her about her role in the story, about her navigation ability. Heck, yes, Strongworld is not canon, but it is written by Oda, and even in that movie it showcases just how exceptional of a navigator she is. Shiki literally wanted her because she was able to predict cyclones. You need, I don't understand why some of these people who have these takes do not understand that. It's they're just blindly just skipping over all these moments, all these scenes that showcase just how exceptional Nami is as a navigator. And there was also another post talking about who is more useful on a ship, navigational wise, or just the importance of them on a ship. And some people literally had Nami below Sanji or below Chopper. You cannot have a ship without a navigator who can allow you to travel to places. People also don't seem to realize she does a lot more than just navigate. She literally is in charge of their expenses to make sure that everything's stocked up. It's she's like the quartermaster of the crew as well. So it's like, it's not just her navigational ability, like she can't be replaced. She does multiple jobs. And I just don't understand why so many people would think otherwise. It's insane. Like, the idea that like a navigator should be less than the cook of a ship is, I think, a bad take. Yes, people need to eat. People can go hungry and die. But if you're floating around not knowing where to go and hoping you land on an island, what's the point of a cook? You're eventually gonna go hungry, eventually gonna run out of food, eventually gonna run out of like medical supplies, rations, whatever. You could try fishing, but at some point the fish aren't going to bite, especially if you wind up going to a place where there are no fish, or getting just immediately hit by a cyclone because you couldn't see it, or you couldn't navigate your way out of it, or get caught in like a random current that could lead you to a whirlpool. Like, these are all essential things that are needed for anyone to sail a ship, especially in One Piece, where like the Grand Line in the world is a unpredictable vast ocean that anything can happen. You need a great navigator in order to be able to survive all that. And I think Oda really does a good job in telling you just how important her role is. Yet people do not want to admit this. They want to be biased. They want their favorite character to be higher up the food chain, just below Luffy, because they're their favorite character, and they want to prove it in any way possible, which includes disrespecting every other character. I even made a video a while back, maybe it was like a year ago, talking about like who's more important to finding Laptop, Nami or Robin. I said both. Why? Because Robin is going to find the location, or at least learn about the location and the intersections by reading the red poneglyphs. And then she gives it literally to Nami to pinpoint where Laptel is based on the information she got from the red poneglyphs. And then it will be Nami's turn to help Luffy sail there. Like, that is really, like, I don't understand why people can't understand that. It's literally complimenting both characters without shedding on the other. And yet people don't seem to understand this. Like, you don't have to shed on other characters to prop up your own. I don't understand this. Each and every single member of the crew is important to Luffy. If one of them leaves, if one of them has to leave because of certain reasons, you know goddamn well that Luffy will do anything in his power to go help them, to go save them. If you do not believe that, if you do not think so, that he only does that for certain members of his crew, you are reading the wrong story. I am sorry, but I do not see how you can think that. If you think that he treats every single member of the crew differently, no, he treats them very much the same. Sure, there's some bonds that he has that might be a little bit deeper than the others, but if Luffy found out that anyone got hurt on his crew, if he found out that someone was doing something to any member of his crew, you know damn well he will fight the world to help them in some sort of way. And I think it's just really disrespectful, not only to Luffy, but to Oda. All the work ethic, all the work he has done to create a wonderful story and characters that really share a very strong bond, to just shit on that and say, oh, Nami's a deadweight. Oh, Robin's not important. Oh, Robin can be replaced. Oh, Sanji is pathetic. I think that is just completely insane. And if you truly believe any of this, one, you're probably a troll or a agenda nerd or part of the problem in the One Piece community, or you just have such a bias that you do not care what you need to do as long as your character is on the top of the totem pole. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter which fan of a character you are. I don't care if you're a Zoro fan. I don't care if you're a Sanji fan. I don't care if you're a Robin fan. Hell, I don't care if you're a Usopp fan. At the end of the day, all the characters are important in their own way, and they will all help Luffy reach his goal of becoming not only the Pirate King, but whatever his dream is. I have my own biases. I have my own personal opinion of certain characters, but I will not allow those biases and those opinions of those characters reflect what the story is telling me. You can point it to my interpretation, but you know what? If my interpretation is a healthy one where I treat all characters equally and equally important, then you know what? Maybe I am the bad One Piece fan. Oh well. Well, thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And yeah, another bad take. This One Piece community keeps making these bad takes, and it's frustrating, but what can you do, right? Alright, I'll see you guys next time, and just remember, I don't know. I'm tired. I've been sick all week. Alright, bye.